This video is a follow-on to my last one. You know, the controversial one that says never married or married a person. Well, recently I went onto my social media and I saw someone who is a friend of a friend, kind of, and it is pictures of this person's third marriage. I knew that this person started dating, but it made me sad to see these pictures. I know also that this person at one point had come to me when the second marriage was failing, and I had spoken to her and said, "You're still married to your first spouse." I push that only so far, and sometimes people don't want to hear it and they just want me to talk to them about reconciling. So I talked to them about the strategies of reconciliation, and eventually they gave up on that. But this video is not going to be about that couple, not today. What makes me sad about this was that the family posted, "Isn't this wonderful? Sally and Jim are married." And I couldn't see anything wonderful about it. I saw children standing at the, can't even call it an altar because they're not allowed to get married in church, standing at their side under the picturesque scenery and being forced to be bridesmaids or groomsmen for this yet another man entering their lives. The problem that I see with this, the thing that hurt me most, was when this person left, broke up with the second spouse, the family came to me. The mom was devastated. Siblings were devastated. And they say, "What can you do to help Sally? What can you do? Please talk to her." So not only did Sally give up on her marriage, eventually, and I'm not saying it's that easy. This goes both ways. She and her, what you guys would call her ex-husband, number two, well, he was no dream either. So I'm not ever judging the person. Despite what you say, what you post, what you think, I don't care. I no longer care because I know my heart and God knows my heart. But I do know that the heart was turned towards let's reconcile. And there comes this moment in time where people give up, go, "Yeah, well, I tried enough, I'm done." Thank God Jesus doesn't respond like that. "Well, I waited long enough for Christine to come to her senses. No, I'm never going to forgive her again." But again, I said this video is not about that new bride and her fake third marriage. This video is about the siblings and the family. They all were angry with not only Sally, but Sally's sister a long time ago, because Sally's sister had left her husband. They didn't believe in divorce. We don't believe in divorce. They're very devout Christians. And they knew that divorce went against God's will. But the first sibling eventually married her affair partner, and they are together 10 years later. So when I watch that person's children have to be forced to put on their smiley faces when they'd rather be with their own father. And I do recognize that the new husband of this person isn't with his children that much at all, which happens much of the time. When a second marriage for a man and a woman come together, it's usually the man that gives up or can't see his children. So he becomes more of a father to his new wife's children. But there's still children somewhere out there that are not with their dad. So when they were devastated about this first one, I understood more when the second sibling was on the outs with her husband, when she had left, when the family was angry and upset and devastating, and say, "Help Sally fight for her marriage. Help Sally fight for her marriage." Eventually Sally gave up. But then so did the family. And this is what I want you to know. There comes a point where the family just accepts it. And they're like, well, the new husband, husband three, let's say Tom is such a great guy, you know, and Sally and Tom actually are good together. People, this isn't about who's good together or not. This is about sin. This is about valid marriages. And you, the community, are responsible for standing up and telling people What? Three? Third time's the charm? I did notice fewer people at the wedding. And maybe that's because some people are going, third time I went to the other two, I'm not going to another one. I would hope at least some of you were there. Meaning mentally there. Maybe it was just because they invited fewer people. But sadly, the same people who cheered him on Sally's first marriage cheered on the second one, and I saw them cheering on the third. This video is for you family members to say, you have a job. Your job, whether it takes 10 years or 20, or whether they never reconcile, your job is to stand for Christ and his truth. If you're not a Christian, this video is not for you because you don't believe in the truth of marriage. But for those of you that call yourselves Christians, it means Catholic Christians and non-Catholic Christians, you have got to defend God's truth. And you know what I hear from most of you? And again, no judgment, but it's time someone gets angry. Is you don't want your family to push you out of their lives. You feel bad. Sometimes that's the risk. That's why Jesus said in the Bible, I didn't come to unify. I came to divide, mother against daughter, father against son, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law. Jesus was speaking of situations just like this, saying when it came to picking me or walking down the aisle with your sister's fake wedding, who are you going to pick? And in this case, the family caved. They stopped standing for Christ, and they stand for this fake marriage. Further, they'll probably try to convince Sally's kids that, oh, he's a nice guy. You like him. Instead of giving the kids a voice, saying, we're sorry, Mommy and Daddy didn't reconcile. We'll be praying for that, and we will stand for that. And it's okay if you hurt, and it's okay if you cry, and it's okay if you want to vent. But this video, again, I have to say community, you people, all of us, we are community. That's why weddings require witnesses. They require another two people there to say, we saw Jim and Jenny commit. So the marriage is valid until death. Because just accepting it now, just the fake second marriage, they didn't want, but they eventually accepted, and then they fought for it. Now the fake third marriage. When does it end? When this one goes awry, and it will, because the greater number of these fake marriages, the quicker they fail. They say 50% of first marriages fail, which is actually more like 40% or less, praise God. But it's 75% or higher for the second marriage, and even higher on the third. Because it gets easier and easier when the tough times come, and each one of you who's married knows the tough times always come. It's easier to cut and run. I don't want to learn how to work with it. I don't want to know how to fight. No, everybody fights a little bit. But their saturation point comes more quickly. So what are you going to do, you watching, the next time you get an invitation for a wedding to someone you know has already been married? Because in God's eyes, remember, someone in Arkansas can't make a judicial call on a law in Kansas or Wisconsin. It's not their territory. God's laws can only be heard in God's courts. The civil divorces down here are heard in courts of man. They can't rule on a law conferred in another court. First marriages are the only marriages. And you need to help our community, all of you, all of us. We need to pull together, because I'm not judging Sally. Sally was hurting in her second marriage. I know the details. It was horrible. But so was I. And so were the other thousands of couples that worked through their marriages, their infidelity, their problems. And today they have happy, long-term, thriving marriages. And worst case scenario, say Sally never was to reconcile with her spouse. There's a beauty in carrying our crosses. There's a love. There's what Christ called us to do. He said, pick up your crosses. But again, each of you watching, remember that you will have to answer to God for whether you encouraged someone to get married that second time, or whether you encouraged them to quit fighting, or whether you just kind of surrendered and told them, I guess it's okay. This isn't the only couple. I know another friend, and they came to me devastated. 2 sisters. One sister wouldn't talk to the other because she knew she was having an affair, and she left her husband. Sister number 1 was angry at sister number 2. She wanted to become a standard. Eventually I reached out to her and she goes, I'm over it. I realize sister number 2 is a fair partner, is a nice guy, and I'm just going to accept it. And I said, no, because now you're allowing your sister to sin, and your nieces and nephews are devastated. I hope these videos, though many of you won't hit the like button publicly because you don't want anyone to know you like these things, I know a lot of you come to me privately and say, good job, great video, you're bold. I wish I could say what you said. Well, read the Bible and be strong and courageous, as it says. Let the Lord fight with you. You can fight this battle with love, with grace. But just being that person who says to your sister, sister, I love you. I love you. And that's why I'm more concerned with your eternal happiness than your temporal happiness. If you can't make marriage 1 work, I'm not going to support marriage 2, but I will always support you, will always love you. Hopefully the next couple of videos I'll do will be on a more positive scale, but I just had to get this one out there when I saw that. Let's ask the Lord what He wishes for us to celebrate. Study marriage. Because this community, this world, our country is failing because of broken marriages and families. We need to start focusing on unifying families again. Fighting for truth. I know you can do it. I know your family members can do it because all they need is your support. Sometimes they won't listen to you. Sometimes they'll turn their backs. But oftentimes, when they see your love and your courage and your strength, say, no, let's do what's right. You can get them to hold out. Because it's a tough battle they're dealing with when they're in a bad marriage. We need one another. I need you, you need me. And I'm here for you. I'm here to help you understand the truth of marriage. If you have a family member who's in a second marriage or who's walking towards one and you don't know what to say or do, give me a call. Reach out to me, Christine at breakfastwithbacon.com. And I'll give you some pointers. It's not going to be easy. Don't think anything I'm saying here is like, that's going to be a box of chocolates. It's not. But it's so worth it. Especially when you, like I, see the times that they actually reconcile with their true covenant spouse. And I know that is when God is happy and all of heaven is singing out. So, God bless you. Fight the good fight. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. This is my tiny little informational bacon bit. And I do really want to remind you always to live your life sunny side up.